She looked straight into the camera, into the whole company, into me standing there with 2 trash bags and no badge that opened the fancy doors, and said, "Fix this engine, and I'll marry you." The room laughed like they were sure the joke wasn't on them, and I just put the bags down, wiped my hands on my shirt, and thought about rhythm. You ever have a moment where somebody decides who you are before you even breathe, and the only thing you can do is decide who you'll be next? Yeah, that happened. My name is Marcus Hale on paper. I clean floors at Vector Pulse Mobility in real life. I listen to machines, and that day, the AX9 hybrid drive core sat in the middle of a glass boardroom, spitting heat and attitude. The Swiss partners from Zurich were lined up like a quiet firing squad, and the live stream light was red like an open wound for 6 weeks. That core ran the same cruel pattern. Start, settle, climb, then at 16 minutes and 12 seconds it popped a spike and quit the console. Screamed phase anomaly, detected the contract with Rhine torque, dangled like a bridge with 1 bolt left, and every smart person in the building was out of patience and out of sleep. I don't have a PhD. I have a granddad who put my hand on a block in a South Carolina garage and said, "Engines don't care about diplomas. They care if you can hear them." So when Evelyn Cross, our CEO with the perfect smile and sharper edges, dropped that dare into a room full of titles, I wasn't thinking about marriage. I was thinking about the tiny ripple I'd felt on that housing last night, around 3,000 RPM, like sand under paint, like a bass player sliding 1 beat late. The all hands had turned into theater cost cuts on the mic, people staring at their shoes, the Swiss CEO whispering to his team. Dr. Arya Chen, the kind of quiet legend who kills bad ideas without raising her voice, flipping open a legal pad and me at the back hearing the building hum under the speeches, so I raised a hand and said as polite as I could, "Ma'am, I think this might be frequency calibration, not software integration." And the whole place pivoted like someone knocked a glass. "Doctor," Chen said. Rules and took over the stage. Full access to logs and blueprints. No obstruction, no variable changes unless I ask witnesses on everything. And the countdown clock started crawling like a dare you could hear. I washed my hands, dried them on my shirt, asked for standard config, and a clean start. And when the AX9 woke up, I put my palms on the block, the way my granddad taught me, no magic, just skin and vibration, warm oil scent, the faintest grit right where I felt it last night. I tilted my head like I was trying to catch a bass line through a wall. Theo Park, our tired golden boy, muttered that they'd scanned harmonics and found nothing significant. And I nodded because he wasn't wrong on paper, he was wrong in the room. You measured where the model expected the music, not where the orchestra's actually tuned, I told him. Then I asked for the manufacturing stack-up, traced the numbers with a finger saw, metric tolerances, tight as pride out of Zurich, then calibration notes that lived in an imperial noise floor with looser boundaries. It wasn't a dumb unit mistake. It was tolerance philosophy, like reading poetry in inches that was written in millimeters, so the AI kept seeing ghosts and overcorrecting, nudging the rhythm out of phase until it snapped at 1612. So it's vibes. Evelyn laughed into the mic, and your solution is a unit converter. I shook my head. Not a converter. A translator. I opened the parts cabinet, pulled a split-ring weight, the color of a dull coin, harmonic coupler tuned to clip our bad band, without killing sensitivity, $60 on a bad day. Theo said they'd tried dampers. I said they tried generic. I needed a caliper, a marker. Free spin measurement, run out, cross torque, exact on the pre-machined slot. Vector Pulse had left for NVH alternates. 27 minutes later, we hit start. The scope settled like a lake after wind. Heat rose and leveled oil pressure. Whispered, yes, 1612. Arrived and passed like a car. that didn't stop 5 more minutes, 10. The loudest sound in the room was the silence where the failure used to live, Dr. Bo. Chen said lock achieved as if we'd stabilized a patient. The Swiss CEO let a soft gut slip. Theo stuck out a hand and said, "Nobody taught me to listen to machines." I took his hand because that sentence weighed more than pride. The chat flipped from clown emojis to little wrench hearts, and that's when the twist hit. This wasn't going to be a hero reel, Lillian Brooks. Our independent director stepped to the mic with that calm judge energy and opened a governance inquiry on the spot. Why a technical specialist got reassigned to janitorial duty during a crisis. Why HR staged employees as props. Why proposals vanished if the sender didn't have a famous school under their name. And the room's oxygen changed from applause to accounting, from performance to process. They offered me senior diagnostics with stock that was nice, but the better win was the new rules we carved into the walls, the listening gate. Double-blind, anyone can submit an observation, a short hypothesis, and a low-risk test, and you get a reasoned answer inside 7 days. The stop the line post, a literal red handle you can pull in any lab, any floor, even if you're an intern with a shaking voice, no permission required. The shadow board made of frontline techs, QA machinists, a veteran firefighter, a driver, so the people who feel machines in their hands can shape decisions before they harden into mistakes. We put a listening index in the lobby, not a glossy slogan, a dashboard. Proposals answered on time, protected stop-line events, ideas that came from the front. And the numbers moved the way numbers do when the truth finally gets a microphone. Integration errors down by 1/3 in 8 weeks, last-minute demo meltdowns, cut in half, warranty risk, starting to behave, and yeah, the internet wanted a head on a spike, but what they got was better. HR's Derek lost personnel power and now runs the listening gate under supervision. Evelyn stepped down as CEO and stayed on as advisor with pay cut and no control, and when she showed up to training, she took notes and kept quiet. When a junior said, "Stop, am I asking you to like her?" "No, I'm telling you what I saw." Zurich was next, cold chamber breath in the air, pride heavy as steel, day 1. A small buzz near 450 underload, not shaft, not software. A polymer cover, singing in the cold, we swapped to a stiffer blend, nudged the coupler, 1. Notch spike gone, day 2. A bracket torqued to room temp spec, pinched a mount once everything shrank. We dropped torque 1 spec on the cold chart, and you could feel respect ratchet 1 click at a time. Then the coastal resilience drill in Grays Harbor mud, like soup pumps slamming electrical loads on and off. We set up a mobile listening gate, canopy scope box of colored coupler rings, a beat-up notebook. At minute 11 on a muddy climb, I felt a bass burble cargo had changed, water sloshing rhythm. Shifting an intern named May, tapped the red post with a shaking hand, and we stopped in the rain. We shifted the coupler mass, eased 2 mount torques to offset contraction, nudged the shift map to dodge the bad band. When liquid mass coupling was detected, 12 minutes back in motion, clean as a new groove. The drill chief smiled like he'd found a spare key under a doormat. People ask me about the line that marriage dare. Was it cruel theater bias with a ring light, or the spark that exposed exactly what needed to change? Yes, in messy portions on different days. On that day, it was a stunt meant to make me fail in public, and I won't pretend it didn't hit hard. What made it survivable wasn't the fix, it was the rules we wrote. So the next voice doesn't need a miracle to be heard. A month later, Evelyn sat across from me in the cafeteria with a paper tray and said I was wrong. No legal padding. PR perfume, teach me where to put my hand first. I put her palm on a quiet housing and said, "If you feel sand, stop before you send an email." You know what I mean? We teach a class now. NVH for AI teams. First slide is a hand on a block. first rule is anyone in the room can stop the demo. The first time, a freshman voice called, "Stop at 2900." The whole room felt the hair rise, not from fear, from relief. Lillian launched the Samuel Hale Scholarship for community college kids taking care of family. I put my first speaking fee into it. Theo matched a machinist, handed me an envelope with grease on it. My mom taped the announcement on the fridge and cried, not the loud kind, the kind that sounds like a house exhaling. The last story is small the night before, investors' crisp ticking at 3250 underlights. A tech swore it was electrical. I crouched 2 fingers on a heat shield. The slightest kiss against a bracket at resonance, loosen, rotate, slip, a little shim, tick, gone 5 minutes, no headline, best sleep I've had all year. So here's where I leave it with you. If you've ever been the person in the back who heard the wrong note and swallowed it because your title didn't come with a microphone, raise your hand next time. And if you lead people, put your hand on the work. Before you put a pen on a deadline, make your AI listen to translated reality, not to the noise your spreadsheet is brave enough to ignore. And about that dare, what do you think? Was it just cheap theater? Or did it drag bias into the light so we could finally change it? Would you have taken the challenge if you were me? Have you worked in a place that punishes truth, then wonders why perfection never shows up? Tell me in the comments, push back. Share your own story. I read them. I learned from them. Hit like if this gave you a breath, subscribe if you want more stories where a small, honest fix turns a whole song around, and share this with the one person who needs to hear that. Listening isn't weakness. It's the work.